Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tipped and Stiff podcast with your hosts, Cade, Almaraz, and
Jarod Sturycz.
Oh, I hope you all... This episode's being recorded on September 12th.
Yes.
September 12th.
2021.
2021.
Year of our Lord.
The year of our Lord.
And,
so if anything happens from today to when it's posted on Wednesday, I believe the 15th, we have no clue.
Yeah.
So leave us alone.
Sorry.
All these episodes are recorded in the past.
Right. You're listening to, you're time traveling
with this episode.
Yeah. But yeah, the year's kind of almost coming to a close. We're getting into the last quarter of the year and looking ahead to some of the movies that are coming out, because that's kind of the only thing that...
Well, no one has anything to do anymore.
Exactly. It's kind of, you know, one of the first things that people really wanted to do when quarantine was ending was go to the fucking movies. You know? And yeah, I mean, that's... What do we even have to look forward to? There's a fucking few.
Right. Well, here's the problem.
You know?
When you're in the Midwest...
Yeah.
People they're bigger here. Our food is made to store for the winter.
Right.
Right.
Truly.
You go to California, you go to Florida, people look good.
Their
because
blood's
they can
thinner.
constantly go outside to do things. When it comes to, you know, the people who know cinema the most are the people who live in cold places because they can't go outside. Because if you, in this day and age, if you're consuming the movies that are available to us right now, that's boring. Like, you could be outside doing something interesting.
Sure.
Wisconsin doesn't have mountains, you know, or like trails, things like that. We don't really have. We have Devil's Lake.
We for sure have trails.
Yeah, and you know what I'm talking. Not you haven't been to the,
but
good
not
ones.
not
You
like
go to
the ones
good
out in Pacific Northwest. Those are trails.
Those are trails. You go, Jared. You go to those ones, you realize what we have is like, you know, it's like a golf cart lane on a golf course. All right.
Yeah, it's literally most of them are golf courses. Movies are so tied though to like not even just like things to do, but like
the culture,
culture and just like relationships with people. What's like a staple of like a first date is like kind of like a cozy like, oh, we're gonna watch a movie, or like trying to get intimate with somebody for the first time, sitting down to watch a movie.
The Netflix and chill.
You know, shut the
Hulu
fuck
and
up.
sit.
Stop.
Well, that's what you're insinuating.
That's not at all. I'm saying you put in a VHS of Dazed and Confused.
You got really upset there.
No, just because you said Netflix and chill. Like that's never mind. I don't blame you.
Our audience is 10 years old. I have to relate to them.
God, we need a content warning for these children. Ask your parents before.
This is true though. Well, so going on a movie for a first date, horrible idea.
No, not going to a movie. Like not a first
just
date.
Just a movie
like,
in general.
I don't know. I think it's kind of good. I think it can be good.
It depends on the movie. If it, you know,
that's the big part of it.
Right.
If it's Fast and Furious 9, you should just call it quits.
Well, you know, she knows what she's getting into.
Yeah.
Disappointment.
You gotta know what you want.
If it's like Marley and Me, it's a good movie. Yeah. It's a good first one. Now, if it's like, you know, The Pianist. Bad first movie. Probably anything that says like World War II or any European historic film, probably don't choose that as the first date movie. Because some people really looked at Schindler's List. They're like, this is going to be the one. I'm going to get the smart girl. And then you're saw that.
Intellectual.
Right.
Come in, but then you got the dirty guy who's like, come and see. And
you're
like, he's trying to get the innuendo.
Right. It's
Watch
horrible.
Come and See if you haven't seen Come and See.
And be terrified. And you will stay up for many nights. But here's the thing. There really isn't any good movies. They're all pretty, like, Marvel is horrendous. It's like every Marvel movie is like, guess what? In this one, the good guys, they almost lose. They wait. And there's a lot of good, and they win in this big epic CGI buffet of bullshit. It's just like, I can't, like, people are getting excited again because Spider-Man's coming back. And it's like they can't stop doing these dumb, like, gets. Like the guy who was in Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's, the Doc Ock, is going to be in the new one.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's this is what happens when the power of the dollar hits a certain point.
Right. It spills. It tips. It literally tips a scale.
Right. There's no more
scale.
There's no more Stanley Kubrick.
No.
There's no more. It's like
it could have been Jordan Peele, but I don't know what he's gonna do.
Right.
Jordan Peele could have done some crazy shit.
We have Christopher Nolan and Quentin Tarantino, and they're gonna die.
Yeah.
And it's just like we're hitting such a road bump where the original Doc Ock is becoming a national holiday. All right, they're just handing them out. This is what we have. The Marvel movies have taken over, because this is the thing. I was rewatching, and this is important because I was rewatching the Batman movies, the Dark Knight trilogy.
Okay.
Great trilogy.
Yeah. Great
trilogy. It's the Dark Knight, the second one in the series, is fantastic. All right, because it's a real movie. First of all, it's directed. They're directed by a real director.
Yeah, by Nolan.
By Christopher Nolan, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
First of all, you have Christian Bale, who's a good actor, a genuinely good actor.
He's no fucking.
He's no joke.
Boy Scout. He's definitely been in some shit. He was American Psycho.
Right.
He was a lot of shit.
And then who's Joker? Now I always forget his name.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Heath Ledger scares you.
Do you know how old he was when that was filmed?
What?
26.
Amazing.
He looks like 50.
He looks
like he could be like
Well, he looks not human anymore.
Exactly.
That's what's amazing about it. He doesn't look like a human anymore. And you watch those movies and you watch it and it's like there's sad parts. It's good. Like the actual development of the characters is good, and it's not predictable.
And it's not just a superhero movie.
No,
it's not. It's not a like that's the genre, but that's not like the that's not the that's not the point. Right. Like the point is about like it's like a person it's making it more real, more of like an actual person is doing it.
Right.
Like the superhero is a person themselves.
Right. And it's nice that is the best superhero movie ever made. For sure. People think like trilogy. Into the Spider-Verse it's like, okay, it's cartoon. Shut up.
The reason that one was so acclaimed was just because of how much like work and innovation went into the making the animation. I mean, it was a lot of it was like 130 animators.
Right.
Who worked on that. So it was a big project. But
they didn't have Heath Ledger's Joker.
And it didn't have
Christian Bale's Batman.
Christopher Nolan as director. Look at his record. But the only thing that has recently come close, because that trilogy was almost a decade ago.
Yeah, damn near.
Almost. I think
I saw
Rises
that in theaters.
Was what, 2012.
My dad talked me to see that in theaters when I was like 11 or 12, and my mom was pissed.
Yeah,
dude, because all she could think about was that pencil scene.
Oh,
like I can make this pencil, bam! It's awesome.
Yeah.
First of all, you rewatch that, you're like, this is fucking awesome.
This is so fucked.
And then he takes out his thing. He's like, let's not go losing our minds. And he has all the grenades and his cloak. Amazing. Yeah. It's a good movie for you and for everybody. So, now it's
something. Because I was leading into that, talking about how long ago that was. I guess the thing that came close to that was Joker.
Yeah, Joker's good, but that's not. Yeah, that's definitely not a superhero movie. It's a movie,
which is the point,
right? I feel
like, which was cool.
That was the year. First of all, we always bitch about how bad movies are. First of all, that year was the year of amazing movies.
Uncut Gems.
1917.
Joker.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
What was the
Parasite?
South Korean Parasite.
Parasite was so good. And did The Irishman come out that year too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's insane.
I mean, people hate the Irishman's wild, but it's a good one.
Those movies are great.
Yeah.
All 6 of those movies, killer. I mean, dude.
There's so many more that were like didn't even get brought up in the awards and shit.
We saw every single one in theater besides Parasite. I saw Parasite on a airplane. It was very good.
And Irishman. That was just a Netflix release.
I was proud to have seen so many of the good movies in theaters because I was like, oh, I can actually, okay, which one's better? Like 1917, in my opinion, was probably the worst out of those. However, I do respect.
But it was a good movie.
It was a great movie. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Kills other movies, shoots them repeatedly.
Sure. Blows Saving Private Ryan out of the water.
Oh, Saving Private Ryan sucks compared to 1917.
Point, well, compared to a lot of other ones too.
Dude, the scene when he's in the city and it's like burning down and he can't see anybody and he thinks like it's like a soldier and then he just like starts picking up the gun and shooting at him. That's amazing. It's good.
It's a gripping movie. It gripped me in a similar way to Platoon. Have we talked about Platoon on the show before?
God.
We gotta at least mention that a bit.
Platoon is better than 1917.
For sure.
Platoon.
For sure. Because Platoon's just darker, and it's a war that's darker, in my opinion.
Yes.
It's more like an intimate, dirty war.
World War II, for a lot of, like, when Americans watch it, is a celebratory war.
It was World War I.
For a
17 was World War.
I know. I'm just saying in general. Saving Private Ryan was World War II.
Mm-hmm.
But Vietnam, any movies that have to do with the Vietnam War, they're always on a very negative predication. Usually for good reason.
Yeah.
But, like with Platoon, it's just like how horrible these guys were drafted and how Charlie Sheen's character is like, these guys were nobodies, but they're grunts. They know they can take it, all this shit. And they're all going insane. And like the last scene, not the last scene, but before the big ending where the one guy has like 3 days before he can go home. Mm-hmm. And he's like, don't let me go out there. The devil's out there tonight. I know there's something out there. And he's like, then when you watch the movie about how like Charlie Sheen's character goes crazy and the sergeant goes crazy and it's just like there really was like the devil out there.
They're really well. It literally came out of them. Like it manifested itself through all of them. In case in point, not just the close up on Sergeant Barnes' eyes. That's obviously an iconic shot. But the right before that, when Charlie Sheen and his I don't know one of his buddies who kind of. They weren't close. This is a weird scene. First of all, let me break it down. They're in just a crisscross crossfire firestorm, and they get ambushed because somebody falls asleep or something.
Right.
And it's just completely chaos. Like VC are just literally all over them. Mm-hmm. And that people get separated. A lot of the main guys from the movie, the ones that had a more prominent role, are dead, except for Charlie Sheen, the lead, and this one other guy who maybe got like 4 minutes of screen time.
Right.
And I don't even remember the character's name, but they fall into a trench together. Mm-hmm. And when they fall into this trench, there's like 3 or 4 soldiers, like VC soldiers in there, and they just fucking light him up.
Yeah.
And as he's doing
running.
Yeah, they're shooting into this trench, and like then they turn around and they start shooting, and Charlie Sheen he stops shooting and turns to this guy and he goes, "Isn't it fucking beautiful?" And just it just catches you off guard.
Yes, because they're just it's like, who directed that?
Oliver Stone.
Really?
Yeah.
God, it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, war movie because it's way too good. Mm-hmm. It's just like the narration, even through Charlie Sheen. You would think Charlie Sheen would be annoying, but when you watch Platoon, you forget that Charlie Sheen was actually a decent actor.
Right, before and in that movie, rock and roll phase.
Right, before the rock
star phase.
For the Tiger Blood. Oh well, but we'll never. All of said the thing in the decade of the 20s will most likely be a decade of kind of bad movies, and the reason I say this is because whatever's happening on the media is going to catch up and happen with the movies.
Yeah, with the art that's being made.
Right. So when you have this, you're going to just start having ridiculous things. Like, do you remember when like Ben Shapiro, whatever his film group was going to make that make that school shooting movie where the girl like has a gun and she's like in high school and like
she's like a hero. Yeah, she's like 14.
So insane. But like the fact that's
I love that. That's so fucking good. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine if that movie
I want to see it.
A politically charged school shooter movie?
Right.
Oh my God. I mean, they made a Columbine movie, but that wasn't politically charged. That was an expressive piece, but
I want to see. I think it got canceled though.
Probably did.
I wonder why. I mean, probably because it's a horrible call.
Probably because they couldn't get the money together. Who's going to fund that? Are they going to fund? Where's the Daily? I mean, where does the Daily Wire get their money from?
Right.
Who's interested in them? But I don't.
Yeah,
but who
like
wants
Alex Jones is like,
who wants that
I know
heat?
his investors.
Yeah,
start asking about his investors. He's gonna get real jittery.
Who wants that heat? Get real. He gets filled. Well, you know, the thing is, Alex, AJ. He uses the AJ like that nickname.
He has the downplay him.
Yeah,
he starts calling him AJ. He needs to forget that he's like a foot taller than him.
Yeah,
and just
and he's got about 75 pounds on him, probably too. You know, he's huge, and he's also more
just insane,
like wired than
right.
He's built. You look at those two people. You sometimes think, wow, people are built different than each other. Like they just have different fucking foundations, and it's hilarious.
But when you look at going back to the movies thing,
mm-hmm.
you look at like again with media, the way media is moving. We're getting into like I think TikTok is very evident of how things need to be shorter. You know what I mean? Like we're doing a podcast, and people enjoy podcasts. But people like getting hooked to podcasts when they've seen the minute clip first. You know what I mean? They need that soft serve entertainment before where they can get
a large majority of people.
A lot,
which is the audience for a lot of these movies that are they're feature length, but they're more sensation. They're more dopamine hitting. They hit you.
When you think about COVID, it's like when you have people sitting in their rooms watching movies, people are forgetting about the going to the theater experience. Like what's strange is that our understanding of like cinema is even wrong from when it started, because when people were making movies before, they wanted it to be a literal show. Like it was it was not just the screen, it was like impressive, whatever was happening in the movie.
And not even just like you go into the theater to watch it. It was a premiere event. Like there was a lobby. People congregate and talk before and after, have drinks, have food.
Right.
Like it's not that anymore. Should be.
With all these Marvel movies, and they're so predictable. Like that's what the majority, the biggest films coming out every year are carnival movies, amusement park films, right? And we're getting so predictable. That's the problem. Like,
even having this take is predictable because
exactly. But you know what take isn't predictable?
What?
The one I'm about to make. The thing is, how we know that this has gotten so bad is that this recording is on September 12th. Yesterday was the 20th anniversary of one of the worst attacks in American history, correct? As you remember, you recall?
No comment.
How many people thought this is true? Something bad was going to happen yesterday. A lot of people. Because they're boring. Because bored. You know why? The CIA has more integrity than the entirety of Hollywood.
They know when to give it and when to take it.
They know when they have a Magnum Opus, and they know when to not make a remake. This is the truth. This is how it works. Because all the shit, like it was, I gotta be honest, the news, people were losing their mind over like the whole like Afghanistan thing. First of all, if you ask like anybody on the street where Afghanistan is on a map, they don't know.
There's a region between Europe and China that I can
somewhere maybe the 500 million betwin here and here.
Yes,
somewhere in this realm.
You could trick them and be like, actually, it's in Africa. You could like give them a whole like.
They wouldn't know.
No,
you have people like getting mad. Like I thought it was funny. Someone like had a whole list about like you break down the deaths per year since 2001. And it's just like the past 5 years, we've had deaths in the Middle East. And it's like no one has said anything because nobody cares until it becomes clickbait worthy. Do you know what I mean? Like people's lives don't become worth it in the news until the news thinks that they can make money on it.
And they can make money on it when they're clinging for life.
Right. And people are so predictable at this point that they have to bait people into, dude, you could not, everything on like Fox News, which isn't a good example of honest to the heart American news, but I believe
real
it's
journalism,
American journalism, which is important,
right?
Different.
It's the concept.
You have everyone pushing to like, oh, they're getting mad at Joe Biden about this, blah, 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 blah. All these things, like one after another, just berating. Like people are just sitting down every night, depending on the news channel, looking for the next thing to get mad at. And they're like, we're going to give it to you. And like, it was like building to this thing, like something's going to happen on 9/11. Like people are like, you know, like, whoa, we're getting reports that there's something going to happen on 9/11. Like, even like people I knew were like, oh yeah, they're really worried about something happening. And it's like, because they're cliche. First of all, tell me, do you know what 9/11 was important before the attack? It wasn't, because it's a stupid day. You know what I mean? Like, September
it's just another
11th,
day.
It's such a mundane day. It's nothing. And it's like, for people to be like, it's going to happen. Like, you don't think anyone doubled down on that day? You don't think the TSA was maybe looking around? How many people, you don't think like double the amount of people maybe got like assaulted at an airport that day?
People were just a little bit more on edge. People drank a little bit more the night before.
How many tickets do you, how like the airline tickets, do you think they just predict? They're like, that day is going to be a bad day.
It's going to be a dip.
It's going to be a dip. It's just like
slow day there at the airport.
A slow day at the airport.
Slow work
it's
day.
Just like, it's just lame. It's
because it could never be like the difference between the CIA and Hollywood.
Right.
I thought I'd say that in one sentence. Is that like you said, they know when they made a hit. They know when to hit it and quit it. Because there could not be. Probably not. Stranger things have happened, but there could not be another 9/11.
I don't think there could be.
There couldn't be a remake. What, are they going to hit the Freedom Tower?
No.
I mean,
predictable.
Making the Freedom Tower was it was close to a cheap remake.
To be fair, if they hit the Freedom Tower, the majority of people would be like, that's kind of boring. They're like, they couldn't do something different this time. Like, that's literally, dude, it would have been like 5 TikToks, a week of news, and we would have been on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the press conference would have been like, Joe Biden, what are you going to do about this? He would have not like been able to like respond. It would have just been like kind of like alphabet soup, and then on to the next thing. And first of all, it's like people talked about like the day coming up as like they were excited for it. They're like, something's going to happen. Isn't something gonna? I can't believe something's gonna happen. It's like
July 4th happened, and people were like, "Oh, summer's over," but 9/11's right around the corner. We're gonna get to be sad again.
They're getting bored. It's like people are so bored with COVID. They're like, you see, the problem with COVID is that it was horrendous. It was bad enough for me to pay attention to, but it just took too long. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's strange. It's like a lot of people who cared about these 13 guys who died in Afghanistan, you know, a lot of them being more conservative, you know, usually being like anti-vaccine, and usually like,
I guess we could
not believing in COVID.
Yeah.
Things like that. Right. Like literally hundreds of thousands of people died of COVID, and they like every day they like shit on that. And it's like, but these 13 people, which is also sad, but it's just like that thing when like you have a few deaths, it's a tragedy, but when you have over 100, it's a statistic.
That's 100% what it is.
That's what it is.
There's a memorial. You can quantify 13 people dying.
Do you think there'll be a COVID memorial? Quantify.
Yeah,
I think there will be.
For sure.
People don't think of it like that. There will probably be a COVID memorial, but also at the same time, the COVID memorial underneath it should say, every day people wished it was 9/11 instead. It's just because that one, it's like, I remember my mom saying to me, she's like, when COVID just started, they're like, this was just after 9/11. And it's just like, then it got to the point where they're like, I wish this was 9/11 because we already be on to the next fucking thing.
We'd be fucking, no, we would take that and we'd be running with it. Instead, we're just sitting around with COVID. We got nothing to do to like evolve it to. Right. At least with 9/11, it evolved into a 20-year war.
Right.
You know,
which the people also didn't care about.
Yeah, after about 8 years, people kind of gave it up. Once Obama was in office, people kind of like gave it a rest a little bit. I think I was 13, so I don't really.
This is true.
I don't know exactly, but
people are going to listen to this and be like, Gen Z is so desensitized, and I would say you are right.
Correct.
Because I don't think what people understand. I was watching a TikTok, and this guy was like, you know what it was like sitting in that classroom watching that happen? And in my head, I was like, I think I was shown on like over 100 times through my career of middle school, like the ISIS like beheading videos, like multiple times over. Right. Like, and every person you ask, especially boys who went to middle school and after 9/11 has seen that video cut up to like music multiple times.
Yeah.
Like it was because it was edgelords. That's what they were called. And a lot of people who are older do not know about this really weird cliche of the internet. But there was a group of people. They were just like an identity called edgelords, and they were just people who made fun of horrific things to such a T that it was not. It's not funny. It's boring. It's not even good humor.
It's boring because you just desensitize it's desensitizing yourself, right? And being like above others because of it, right? Feeling like it's dumb. It died out exactly when it should have. But at the same time, the amount of content that those people made and put out was enough to desensitize a good majority of our generation,
right, to
a lot of things. Not to the same degree as every other person, but like it's there. I mean, Tumblr 2011, right? Tumblr 2013, like the way that they actually had to crack down on gore posting and like suicide ideation and literal like.
But pictures of people like
people cutting themselves or like of people dying.
People don't get that. No,
like because smut films have been a thing since fucking we could film things. Since
probably
we could
one
put
of the
on
oldest
shows.
Professions.
Similar to
next to hitman and prostitution.
Yeah. But but the internet still made a place for modern smut.
Right.
I mean, there's you know that video of the fucking dudes in Russia killing that homeless person.
Yeah,
it's a real. It's like they're in the woods or something.
Yeah, it's well, the interesting about that is like it's considered one of the most horrific videos on the internet, but also it was real serial killers in Russia.
Yeah, they got caught
that recorded their videos and then would post them anonymously online. Horrendous. I remember like somebody who was like 14 showing me that video. And it's just like, man, that was horrible. Why did you do that? Because like people thought that was okay. Because we were getting to. I don't think anybody's parents understood the amount of desensitizing that was going on at the time. For especially being as young as we were. Like I remember, like I said, my mom got mad when I saw The Dark Knight. But it's like if you look at all the things that you saw on the internet from like middle school to high school, things that you didn't really have the consent to see, things that were just there it is.
Yeah,
you don't give consent to see them. Horrendous.
I was looking this up on YouTube the other day. I was trying to see what I could find with this kind of search. Are there consent laws on social media for minors? Because how can somebody who's 13 consent to have their data tracked, harvested, and to be shown anything?
Right.
And then I remembered, okay, what was it like when I was like 13 and I was joining Instagram? You just lie.
Right.
Or when you're younger, like when you're 11, you just lie. There's no check.
Well, that's why they're definitely going to, at some point,
there's going to be lawsuits.
People don't understand. Well, not even that. I don't think people understand that the state ID going into the internet is going to be a thing soon enough.
Yeah.
They're going to make it where you have to register your ID to get it, which they do in other countries. Mm-hmm. This is already happening.
They do it in China?
They do that in China. I believe they do that in South Korea as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you have to take your state issue ID, and that's what you sign into the internet with, and that's how they know how old you are. And I don't think people understand that like that's only so far away.
Yeah.
Right. Which to some degree I kind of agree with.
When it comes to like trying to reverse like the damage that's been done to the youngest generations on the planet at the moment, like we were like one of the first generations that got the internet really young, that got social media young, and now we're adults.
I want this to happen because I want my dad to be on Facebook looking at like QAnon stuff, and I want like a pop-up of like Mark Zuckerberg like after the 2.5 hour mark going and just closes the window.
Your time limit.
You are done. And just no, I want it to be like someone infuriating. I want it to be like Fauci.
Yeah.
And then click and just turn it off and you're done.
It's like Elizabeth Warren.
Yes.
Just like that's her gig now. That'll be a new government role is to be like the spokesperson for the state ID.
You're done.
To be the content advisor.
Hilarious.
Dude, speaking of Zuckerberg, I want to talk about this. The Facebook glasses that are coming out. They're coming out soon.
Tell me.
Do you know? Okay, so Facebook is developing these wearables I think they're called Facebook Stories loosely. But it's essentially, kind of like Google Glasses, but a lot more, but like 15 years more developed.
Right.
And
because that was crazy enough when the glasses came out.
People look dumb, but it was definitely like a thing. On the side of the glasses, there's 2 buttons. There's a button to record, and there's a button to, I think, like take a photo, like to switch cameras.
Are they good cameras?
Yeah, they're like decent. They're like phone cameras.
Oh my
God. Where you can literally just boom. Save it, and it saves to your device.
Dude, they just
you can post it right to Facebook.
Oh my God, they just want as much information in this swimming machine as possible.
That thing's gonna be on all the time.
I want to get one, and I will record all the time. I will do it. You're saying that, but you act like that wouldn't be funny. First of all,
I'm not. I don't think it'd be funny.
We could do it. We could. Oh, what if we set up a cloud like for the podcast? We get them and we just have them record the entire time, and it's only POV. That would be hilarious.
People would go insane though.
They definitely would.
People would you talk about identity crisis.
Oh my God.
Body switching.
There would be podcasts where the show you would never get revealed on who the host or the guest is. Like you would never get. Maybe you would always be in the position of the host. Oh no, it's like you have the host in the table, and then you have the guest, and you have a no-name person in the middle. You never see them. They're in like a black spandex suit.
They're just they're a shadow.
And they have just like a camera on their head, and they just look between the two, and so it's like you're sitting.
So it's like that's gonna happen. That is going to happen with these.
And then eventually they'll get smart. They'll be like. Somehow these shows are taking a violent turn, and they'll be like, they're going to make it where it's like Conan, but then like a guy, same thing, perspective only comes in and just like shoots him with a gun. And it's like, you can live the fantasy of shooting Conan.
Don't shoot Conan.
Don't shoot.
Not Conan.
But it's like really good because no VR technology is going to get to that point.
Right.
Well, what if we get to the point where we put it on a camera, it's live stream, you have the VR headset on. And then you have like the controls, but for whatever reason, these controls can like send it to like a human. So they're as human-like as possible. They're not, you hit a wall, you actually hit a wall. You know what I mean? It's not like they just merge together like so many VR games do. Mm-hmm. Right?
Where you're literally in, well, I mean, that's like the Oculus thing, but the Oculus is a big goddamn helmet you put on.
And you run into Conan. Repeatedly.
Are you killing Andy Richter too?
Both.
I think he should go.
You should go. It's not a threat. It's just like I'm more saying. It's more saying the fantasies that would come out of that. I just think
that's a big thing.
TikTok came out and people didn't know how to use TikTok. You look at the way TikTok's used now; it's used differently. People figure out the modes and means of how they use it. So with these Facebook glasses.
It's going to be a curve. There's going to be a learning curve on like what we can.
Right.
I mean, I'm just imagining somebody looking in the mirror at themselves through the glasses, but like it's POV. I'm imagining all of the disassociative triggering that's going to be going on TikTok, on
I want an adult
YouTube. Like, it's going to be so weird.
I want an adult live stream service, and I'm going to have it on 24/7. You will be with me every step of the way.
That's going to be the new content land, not just posting on your stories and updating people. It's going to be
life.
Film your life today.
Yes.
Give a day to your audience.
I want to consent to being on my own Truman Show.
That's what's happening.
I'm kind of okay with this.
But all the more reason we should have more age restrictions for the internet. Like just doing something to make sure that like a 13-year-old isn't
doing any of that.
Doing any of that. True. Like it should be.
Well, here's the thing. It's going to become like self-enforcing at some point because the younger generations are going to know how to use the internet so well at that point that everyone's going to recognize when like, hey, you're breaking the rules, and then they become socially like, hey, don't do that, because we're already kind of in that. Yeah. Like our fucking TikTok video.
Yeah, we posted the clip where it was a clip of "This Is Your Brain."
This is your brain, which did great on Instagram.
Yeah,
did bad on TikTok. It got shadow banned on TikTok. It got shadow banned on TikTok because we said QAnon, and the algorithm picked it up.
You said QAnon.
I said QAnon.
This guy thinks he can.
I've said QAnon about this is the fifth time
together.
This is the fifth time I've said it now.
And we said COVID about 100 times this whole episode.
This is also true.
So these clips are also going nowhere on TikTok.
I was actually very surprised that Instagram was so generous.
Yeah.
Very nice. Glad.
Thank you, Mark.
And thank you for everyone actually watching them.
Right, yeah.
No, we made a clip of the Texas abortion one. That was a little too info. Mm-hmm. Too much opinion. I feel like we're still in the muddy waters maybe in Wisconsin with that. Yeah. Some people just don't want to hear it, and that's fine.
It's not.
That's why they get two. They get a serious one. They get a not serious one.
Exactly. There'll be an amount of time that will pass where, just like with anything else, where people get either it's right in front of them and they have to think about it and they have to make an opinion about it. But by that time, it's like they're like, does it really matter if I?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about Texas the entire week. I've been listening to some podcasts that talk about it. Right.
It'll come back in 3 months.
Right.
It'll come back at the midterms.
Right.
Too.
That's all it is. It's just
not saying it's not serious, but that's in the fake world of politics. That's all it is.
We should be politicians.
It's a bargaining chip.
We can run for mayor.
You wanted a year ago. You were like, I should run. No, 2 years ago.
We could do it because no one likes the current mayor. Like no one on either side is happy.
What's his name?
Mayor Antaranium. And that's fine. This show's local.
Let's have him on.
That would be funny.
That would be funny.
There's a few guests I can think of that would actually be hilarious to have on.
We should have.
We can't say that.
We should have past employers on. The one. The three I'm thinking of.
Right.
You know who I'm thinking of.
We can't have them on.
We should have hillbilly hooker on.
You can't say.
No one knows.
The thing is, we can't. Here's the problem. That where we worked, and we've mentioned the name of past episodes a lot, and we shouldn't on this one because now there's video on it. But if they ever see this, the reference that you just made, they will know who we're talking about. But that was a naughty place to work.
Yeah, it was. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna snitch? What are we gonna?
We already have ratted.
But who are you gonna rat to? Who would actually do anything? And would there even be
not gonna call
a reason to do anything? What are we gonna do?
I'm not gonna call the
HR, like the
labor, whatever department of
union.
No. It's like fair labor. I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm not gonna call. I don't give a fuck.
I don't know. We don't even know the name. How are we gonna call him?
One call to the DOT to that place, it'd be over. The whole company would go down. But that's okay. I just work here. Not anymore. But
worked here.
Worked there. The mayor on that would be so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I would have to hold my tongue the entire time because it wouldn't even be about politics. I would just want to make. That's one part. Do you ever feel like?
Do you feel like we will never have an Italian president? Because we won't. And you know this, right? And just like you really give up to him.
What do you think about that? Italian president, yes or no? And
he's like, yeah. You were like, yeah, that's what I thought, meatball. Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's just like there's way too many. It would be too hard to not. Right, we would make fun of him. That would be the problem. Because first of all,
we couldn't be serious. He wouldn't take us seriously.
And that video would do great.
Yeah.
If we did have him on. But then this building would get condemned.
Right.
So we couldn't do that. Out of respect. We can't have the mayor on.
And make jokes about his DNA. I don't even know if he is Italian. He might not be, but that sounds...
Antaranium? Yeah, he's Italian. I don't even know
what you're saying when you're saying is that... What do you
Doesn't matter.
Antaranium? It sounds
Antaranium.
Sounds like a bomb.
It sounds like a chemical of sorts.
Uranium.
It sounds like a off-brand.
Sounds like a galaxy far away.
Medicine. But
yeah,
this building would get condemned, and that's okay. That's all right. I want to talk about Joe Rogan.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, you know what happened. We didn't talk about last time. He got COVID.
We did, but we didn't really talk about it. What happened though?
Well, he was he kind of made a joke on his podcast with Tom Segura, which I believe was the first one back, about how he was thinking about suing them.
Suing who?
Suing CNN.
What'd they do?
Well, because he feels that because his thing is that he made that video on Instagram. Dude, that thing has like 1 billion views on Instagram. It's maybe not 1 billion.
Can we play it? Could I put it in the mic? I don't know what the video.
No,
you've seen.
Everyone's seen it. It's just him with the camera. He's like, hey everyone, let you know, I got it. Got COVID, came back from last night, blah, 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 on the other side of the house because he's got a fucking mansion.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, yeah, we're throwing the sink out. I'm taking this. I'm taking a Z-Pack. I'm taking ivermectin. And that was the one. And first of all, I'm like, what? I'm going through the Instagram. And you know how it shows you like friends who have watched, like who have liked the post?
Yeah.
When I get to that one, every like liberal friend of mine has liked that. Because they're making fun of it.
Which was funny.
They aren't on any other post until that
just
one.
Because that one got pushed in their feed probably.
Right.
Like, look at this jack off.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. And he took ivermectin and, you know, you look it up and it's like, yeah, it's a horse dewormer. Just like reading like the Wikipedia for it. But then on his podcast, he was talking about how doctors are using it. But I just... this is the problem. I'm a little wary of people who say, I think the vaccine works. They should get the vaccine. And then you go, do you have the vaccine? And they go, no.
Right.
Right. Because it's like, hey.
Why don't you got it? Why don't you get it?
If you think it's good and it works, why don't you have it?
What's the problem?
They're like, well, I just, maybe like, nah. And that's what it feels like. And that like him talking
they say nothing.
About,
they go, nah.
They do. They say nothing. Nah, it's just a little silly me. No, like that's how it feels like. It's like, own it. Just own it. Just say you don't like it. And just say that you feel like it doesn't work. I just want Joe Rogan to not be a pussy. He's like 5'6" and he's ripped. You know how much he weighs? He weighs 190. That's 10 pounds more than me. That's insane. Like, I want some principle. That's all I'm asking for from Joe Rogan. It's like, if you're going to have the biggest podcast, show up to the plate. That's all I'm saying. Just own it.
What else? What do you really want him to show up for? Like,
I want him to show up that $100 million wasn't a waste of time.
Yeah.
That Spotify deal meant something because he made it. He's protected. He's too big to cancel. He should just start saying shit and just get away with it.
Yeah, like Shapiro.
Because he can. No one cares anymore. He should just do it. Like, that's what I'm saying. He's talking about ivermectin on his podcast. Also, hilarious podcast. Like to hear him talk about it. Because it's like you're listening to like an old man at this point.
Yeah, he's like pushing 60.
He feels like he should be like, I feel like he would be on Fox News soon. And like not get it. Like he doesn't
like not get it.
Not get like what's going on. Like he is when Tim Dillon was on there, it sounded like the first 15 minutes was a goddamn car commercial for Cadillac.
Literally, he was like, you see the new something model? The new series model, man?
Right.
It's pretty good, man.
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
I
think's nice. Every time I go there, I like to
I like a lot of room inside. I don't like to be sitting too tight. I'm kind of big.
And he's talking about like a $45,000 car.
Yeah.
SUV. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And then he has Tom Segura on. And Tom Segura is like
the
secret.
whole episode's an ad.
The whole no shit. And it's like
I like Tom though.
I like Tom Segura. He's actually funny.
He's really funny.
Ball
Hog was one of the greatest specials of the
ever made
of the 20s.
There's not one Joe Rogan special that's one of the greatest specials.
What he's got 2, 3?
He's got like 4, maybe even 5.
I couldn't even tell you the name.
Too many. That's okay. He's a podcaster who takes ivermectin and doesn't stand up for what he believes. That's okay.
He's becoming so much like I'm afraid he's going to go down this Howard Stern route.
Oh, it's happening.
Howard Stern is just a lecturer now.
Right.
He's just a lecturer. Shit, I can't say that.
Yeah, we have to beat that one.
He's a cuck. He's lib cucked. That's what I'm doing. He's lib cucked.
It's true. Well, there's a difference between like with me and you. We're definitely more liberal.
For sure.
Absolutely.
We're I guess. We're more like progressive. We're like,
but there's a lane. There's definitely like, especially when it comes to people who stand in front of a microphone, there becomes this different lane of it becomes almost theatrical. It becomes lame. Like the Howard Stern liberalism is different from, someone who's legitimately involved in the community. Two different types of liberalism. One is like, Howard Stern has a lot of money, and I don't really care about that. I'm just saying, like, it's always like, who are you? You're the funny guy. Just be funny. Like it's like the.
It's always the people who, you say Joe Rogan's protected. I say he has so much to lose, even though he might be he might be kind of uncancelable, if that's even a thing anymore, really. But Stern is from a different era, and he, I think, I don't know. I don't think he wants his legacy to be like up in the air. I think he wants it solidified as like he didn't like go crazy at the end. But in a sense, he actually is going crazier,
right?
By kind of just playing this weird woke role.
All he does is just really have dumb. Like interviews and then talks about like politics. That's
you should hear some of the shit he used to say. He used to say some dog shit.
Horrendous. Okay, first of all,
he said the N-word many times on his podcast.
Dude, he's done
hilarious.
blackface.
Yeah.
He's done blackface.
The way he talks about women is fucking hilarious too.
But it's bad. No, really it's bad. So insane how like some person can go from, because he did the Whoopi Goldberg bit where and then he goes from that to like getting mad at Jimmy Kimmel for doing blackface to what he is now.
Exactly.
And it's like, own it. Own what you did. Don't be a coward. Just have some, and I get it. They're all just protecting their careers. Have a little principle.
But at the same time, like
have a little truth.
Your career's been made already. What are you protecting? Like,
no one's watching Sirius XM.
Why do you care?
No one's listening to XM radio.
I'm not paying for that.
Yeah, no one does that.
Car companies try to push it on you because they're fucking losing. But
right. It's the first time you ever hear of like a comedian like, oh, we have an XM radio show. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
For whom?
For who's listening to that?
Yeah.
Because the only people who can listen to that are people who like can afford it and then have like the cars able to do that. And who gives a fuck? No one gives a fuck.
It's like cable. There's only like you only watch so many things.
Who has cable?
Like people who have the money to spend it, and people who aren't like internet, they're not online people.
Right.
And it's usually older people.
When's the last time you watched a show on the TV?
Probably earlier this year. I was watching Better Call Saul, right? Because it was on. I think late last year.
I think I'm at like 4 years.
Wow, were you like watched a show when it aired?
When it aired, I think I'm at 4 years. That's cool. I will only watch. It's all internet. Yeah, I don't care. I don't want to. I have everything else.
Yeah,
I haven't watched because the last show I was into. Because every show I've gotten into in the past 4 years is over. Mm-hmm. You can only watch it on Netflix.
Right.
I can't watch anything. I'm not gonna turn the the fucking tune in next time. What the fuck? Release the season.
That's what we should release a season at a time with the podcast. Imagine the fucking.
We would get one view. That would be it. People would open up the playlist and go, "We're done."
That's the funny thing. Like this works piecemeal. But if you got like a 20 episode season of a podcast, you'd be like, Jesus Christ. You'd be like, this is too much at once. I feel like that's not something you would want to binge.
20 episodes of a 45 of a podcast.
Like just if it came out all at once.
Horrible.
Granted,
hell no.
I know people who listen to this who are like, yeah, I just I binged it. I had to catch up, and I'm like,
that's crazy. Yeah, right. Some people listen to this podcast and they told us, they're like, I had the binge listen to this. I'm like, you can start from whatever episode you want. Yeah. You don't have to go.
We're not a
it's not episodic.
Yeah, no.
It's topical. You're gonna listen to old things, and it's just from that week.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some older episodes of ours that are very themed, for sure. Mm-hmm. Like, I think one of our best episodes is Big Beautiful Door. Yeah, great episode.
Sure. I think another good one is The Curtains.
The Curtains.
But like, that's the thing when it comes to content that's being made now. Like, here's the thing. Like, I can look at certain episodes of podcasts that I listen to and care more about them and have gotten more from them than like any of the top 20 movies that came out, like top grossing movies that came out in the last 5 years. Because like, what's funny is like, I always fucking say it, less is more.
Right.
Because all these things, they spend $200 million on a fucking Avenger movie or something of that realm that's adjacent.
Right.
But it doesn't give.
Tim Dillon's I Love My Family episode.
One of the best pieces of performance.
It's for a podcast, one of the greatest, like, that medium that has ever been created. And it was better. I think listening to that episode was better than Marvel's Endgame.
Yes. And Marvel spent almost $1 billion on that movie. I don't know if it was that much, but almost.
Tim Dillon is a desk and a producer.
Yep.
And him. God, that it's amazing. It is very cool,
and he's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And he's not the most attractive man in the
No. It is pretty crazy to think of that. Podcasting has really created a lot of fun moments. That it requires, it's like film and audio. Like we have a setup here for sure, but there's definitely people who have had smaller setups, and it's just like, you're doing something, and it's content. If you can make it funny, make it entertaining, make it enjoyable, listen to it, make it smooth,
And just there's something impressive about it. And it's like it's genuine. Bottom line, dude, like literally. Just to give Tim Dillon another prop, the majority of his rants in the last year are better than most of the Bill Burr rants that I've heard.
Right.
Which is crazy. I never really looked to people for rants before. Right. And before I kind of was into Bill Burr a bit, it's like that's like a new level of like Bill Burr ranting and being like just being some fucking guy who's just talking.
Right.
Who's just going, which is his stage presence and his podcast presence. Right. That is now like a standard for a lot of comedy.
Absolutely.
Like you have to be able to talk and go and just go off the dome.
The power of gab.
Yeah. The gift of gab. You got to have it.
You have to have the gift of gab. Yeah. For sure. Well,
we're working on that.
Right. The weird thing about when you're talking about Tim Dillon, especially with like the rants wise, like you think of like topical media that comes out every week. The topical media with like the Tim Dillon show has been better than every episode probably ever aired of Fallon, Kimmel, or Colbert.
Oh, yeah. All of them.
Combined.
Better than.
It is more relevant.
Yeah.
It is funnier, and it's an actual engaging opinion. It's not just what like this New York posh progressivism is, it's just like we're talking about
Hollywood progressivism.
Right. We're talking about Afghanistan, and then it's just like they're like Kimmel number like it's so horrible, and Tim Dillon's like, let's just leave. Yeah, we're done.
Let's go.
Boring, and it is boring.
And Tim Dillon literally does like people like him. It's the new wave is literally. Back to the Google Glasses a little bit, it's broadcasting your life in a sense.
Right.
But it's not like, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of you're performing your life because it affects what you're doing when the camera's on you and when the mic's on.
Right.
So I can't say that you're not performing a little bit, but at the same time, like you're aware of the fact that you should be performing as close to who you are as possible. Right. Whereas Fallon and Kimmel and,
Colbert.
Fucking Colbert, Noah and stuff.
Oliver, whatever. Dickhead.
John Oliver. Oh, yeah. Fucking that guy gets my goat. It's feed him. But those guys, I mean, they're not only are they not aware of that they're not real, that no one really knows who they are. From like they don't know them. There's no love. There's no relationship between you. You don't feel like you don't care about them and the things they say.
No,
you don't wonder why
boring.
Their opinion is the way it is and care about that journey. They're nothing. And what's worse is that they don't know, and what's worse is that they don't care.
Right, and also
they don't because they're getting paid so much money.
How can any American relate to them? Truly, they're all from like Harvard. Conan went to Harvard. Do you know what the difference between Conan going to Harvard and Tim Dillon? Tim Dillon was a college dropout drug addict. I relate to that leaps and bounds more than I do to Harvard.
It's kind of ringing a few bells. That's kind of hitting the nail on the head for us.
It's true, truly.
We do have an episode.
It's just. That makes sense. Like when you like this, it's like, oh, this is the fucking beat up comedian. You just figured it out, made it. Here he is. Hello, he has a show, and it's great. It's entertaining. Yeah, it's not bigger than Conan, but who gives a fuck about Conan? Conan being, I keep saying Conan as if he's the worst of them. It's definitely John Oliver. John Oliver, horrendous.
Yeah,
hate him. I like
disease. It's a disease.
Can we just turn the TV? We should
turn them off.
Turn them off. No, like
cancel the channels.
Cancel all of it.
Get rid of it all.
We're done. Move it all online and just ban it
and let it die, because that's where it'll die, because it was born on air.
Because John Oliver cannot compete with Charlie or Dixie D'Amelio.
No, sir.
No, Charlie and Dixie will put John Oliver on a spit.
Oh my God.
They will cook him alive. They will do their little dances to him screaming, blood curdling,
some witch shit.
Right.
Some fucking blood coven shit.
They are going, it's true. I mean, like the YOLO house is going to have like Kimmel and Fallon on like pikes outside the TikTok houses. Inside the
Dude, if there's anybody we should sacrifice as like signifying the end of the bleak corporate fake era of entertainment, it's late night hosts.
Right.
They're the greatest poster boys.
Dude,
poster
the
childs
Hype House should be walking around with them like tied up on logs, like going down going down like a Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Going down Rodeo Drive.
Going down Sunset.
Just like with Sunset with them like tied up to the log like this.
And there's just a giant
like
fire.
And they have like they have one of those like big, like what the Christians have, like Catholics have, and
those giant crosses.
Staffs. It was like the giant staffs, but it's the TikTok symbol, and there's like torches and shit, and they're like, and just going down Rodeo Drive with Kimmel just screaming, "I want to see my kids!" And just like D'Amelio's like, shh.
Imagine D'Amelio just doing the thing.
You're gonna die.
And then at the end of the road, there's just a giant fire of just like they use just like his desk. All their desks are just on fire. All the interns of there are in the fire too. Some of them are like, some of the loyalists are there. Right. And then Tim Dillon just in a black hooded cloak, just like, come to me.
Come to me. He's like the puppet.
Feed the fire, Charlie.
The puppet master secretly at the podcast
the whole time.
He like takes it off. He's like deathly, but it's actually just his regular skin.
Yeah, it's just falling off his face. Come to me, Charlie. Bring the sacrifice. We need to get sacrifice. You know, everybody knows it's in the spirit of what the fuck's going on.
Right.
When is this shit gonna get any different, any better? We're trying, but like we're just trying to talk about it at the same time.
I genuinely hope that TikTok stars do this. You know, it's sad because I think TikTok will not. I have a feeling that Colbert might beat TikTok in the end, sadly.
No, he's a fucking, literally, and I don't even believe that this is right, but he's an older white dude.
This is, yeah.
He's not like,
they're all
he's
older
not gonna,
white guys.
Right. I mean, he's not going to have the leverage that he once had.
Right.
You know what I mean? Against like a young, like liberal woman,
right?
You know, a white American woman, like, you know, and like everybody else who's in that sphere, who's pretty wealthy. That's the thing. Wealthy. I mean, not that the D'Amelio content's good. It just gets. You're
not a big fan.
Not a huge fan.
I don't understand. Bella Porch just moves her head around in like directions to music, and then it's like, I guess this is entertaining.
It's a microaggression. I think it's like kind of satanic. It's kind of demonic.
I'm confused.
It's like symbols.
It confuses me. But I guess it's not for me either.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's for billions of people too. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what else is for billions of people? COVID.
It's coming. It's coming for you.
Thank you.